Hello, Notre Dame recruiting fans. We are here for the Monday recruiting update with Mike Singer of blueandgold.com, our resident recruiting expert. I'm Greg Ladke. Please hit like on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Mike and I both hit the road this past week. Mike, I know you went to Phoenix for the first time in your life, and the main purpose of your trip was to catch up with longtime Notre Dame commit Benjamin Morrison.
Awesome young man. Really good football player. Great visit overall in Phoenix. Spent a couple days out there. Thursday, I got to see Morrison practice, interview him afterwards, talk to his coach, find all of the tidbits from those conversations and whatnot. And my entire visit at blueandgold.com and the Gold Standard. Also stopped in on this past Friday morning at Anthony Lucas's high school. Interviewed him, which you can find at Blue and Gold. Also had some more kind of recruiting nuggets and thoughts in the Gold Standard. So the game on Friday night that I went to was between Benjamin Morrison, again, a class of 2022 four-star commit for the Fighting Irish, against 2023 wide receiver Kyler Kasper, big target for the Irish in that class. And those two guys, when I say they're matched up the entire game, I really mean it. Morrison was locked up on him at the quarterback position for much of the game. And then here and there, he would play some safety as well. Too high safety look where he must be playing cover two. Um, Casper got the better of Morrison on a couple of plays that were big ones. One was a fourth down play. They threw up a fade to Casper with Morrison in coverage. Casper comes down with one hand on the ball for a beautiful pitch and catch touchdown. And then the first touchdown of the game was another goal line fade to Kasper with Morrison in coverage. At first glance, I thought Kasper was out of bounds, but I got another angle on it. Kasper was inbounds. I mean, I'm talking toenail just inbounds. Beautiful play. I mean, Morrison had good coverage on both of them, but it was more about the pitch and the catch. I mean, Kasper with his quarterback just phenomenal. And then Morrison had an interception. Ball went down the sideline. Morrison came over and picked it off, and there was another pass that Morrison broke up with his range, came over and laid a good hit on Casper and broke up the pass. So all in all, really good performance by Morrison, but Casper, I mean, he is the one that, I left that night thinking, man, I mean, as good as I think Morrison is, like Casper was like, man, this kid, like he's 6'5", 185, 190 pounds. Like, is he a five-star caliber prospect? That's what I was thinking when I left that game.
Yeah, he definitely glides. Any insight into where Notre Dame is early on in his recruitment?
Yeah, so I think there's three schools to really keep an eye on. Detail this in the Gold Standard as well. It's still very early in his recruitment. He's not narrowing down, but I think Iowa, where his father Kevin played, Notre Dame. I mean, Kyler's a Chicago kid, so there's always that connection. And then Ohio State offered him a couple weeks ago. Seems really intrigued with Brian Hartline and the Buckeyes. So those three schools, which is interesting, Greg, that's the top three for Xavier Wankba,
Hmm.
2022 five-star safety. I believe it's like the top three contenders for Caden Proctor, who's Wankba's teammate. Proctor's a 2023 five-star tackle. It's kind of interesting, those three schools battling so much in the recruiting front here lately.
Right.
But Notre Dame would absolutely love to get Casper. We know Dell Alexander, Tommy Reese, they love their big receivers, but Casper is much more than just a jump ball, 50-50 kind of guy. He is very good all over the field. He can run the whole route tree, and he's got a great burst too.
And you spent some time with Anthony Lucas. Are the Irish on the outside looking in there, or are they still hanging in there?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough to win that recruitment. I think he's destined to play in the SEC. I think Alabama, Texas A&M. I mean, he's still saying that everyone's on the table at this point. Speaks highly of Mike Elston
Hmm.
and Marcus Freeman, but I think he's probably going to end up at Bama or Texas A&M. Now, Greg, you were in Boston,
Yep.
last minute trip you set up. Pretty cool. Tell us about the guys you saw and what you thought about your time out there.
Yeah, went to two games. Saw Preston Zinter and play for Central Catholic, Lawrence Central Catholic, in a Friday night playoff game. And then the next day in the afternoon, I saw Lawrence Academy and Tai Chan take on their new wide receiver offer, Ronan Hanafin for Buckingham Brown and Nichols. So they call it BBN since it's such a long name. But Tai Chan obviously was kind of the main event for us since he's been a long time Notre Dame commit, and I came away very impressed. I see why he went up in the rankings during the latter half of this recruiting cycle. He is a big kid, plays with good balance. I mentioned this on the board earlier today, our premium board at blueandgold.com, that he was never on the ground. When he doesn't over lean to make blocks or he doesn't fall over. I mean, he's a very stout offensive lineman with pretty good athleticism. I don't think he's a left tackle type per se, but I think he's athletic enough to play right tackle. He reminds me a little bit of either like a Tommy Kramer, a mix between like a Tommy Kramer and an Aaron Banks. I'm not sure if he's Aaron Banks huge, but he's definitely a big, thick kid for a high school prospect. And lastly, he didn't allow a sack. He didn't. I don't think the anyone that he was blocking even made a tackle in the game. So really, all in all, really good performance from him. Ronan Hanafin played for his opponent, 2023 wide receiver. Great straight line speed. He had only 2 catches on the day for. They were both curl routes, so roughly probably 25 yards. He also had an interception and a sack. I did not get those on video because I was ISOing Tai Chan at tackle, so just so the viewers know. But, I just came away impressed with his speed. And he's a football player. He plays both sides of the ball. He made several tackles on defense. I talked to him after the game. I was like, do you run track? Because he gets off the ball like a track guy. He kind of like slowly rises up. He looks like he's trained in that realm. And he said, no, he actually plays lacrosse, but he's thinking about running track this year. So overall, very impressed with him as well. Didn't get much insight into his recruitment other than, he had a great time at Notre Dame. And one of his buddies and teammates is actually a lacrosse commitment for Notre Dame as well. So that was good. Mike, I'll let you go into a little bit of the news from last week because there is some connection with Preston Zinter, who I saw Friday night. But what are your takeaways from Sonny Styles' commitment to Ohio State?
Well, first of all, if you're a Notre Dame fan, that news sucks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it came out of the blue. Like there was no, I'm announcing on CBS Sports HQ, and this is my timeline, or it just happens.
Yep.
That was the same with his older brother Lorenzo picking Notre Dame over Ohio State. Commitment just came blue when he was on campus at Notre Dame. And the same here with Sonny Styles. Obviously, a different outcome. I had been hearing about a week or two ago some rumors and rumblings that he was leaning towards Sonny being leaning toward Ohio State. So I'm checking in with sources. The Ohio State side felt like he was leaning towards the Buckeyes. The Notre Dame side felt like he was leaning towards the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And then you talk to sources close to Sonny, and it's kind of a company line of, no, nothing coming up soon. And of course, those rumors of Ohio State obviously ended up being true. He commits to the Buckeyes while I was on campus this past weekend. And I want to say something. Two things can be true. One, the loss can really sting for Notre Dame that they're not getting Sonny Styles. And two, they're going to be okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
they've got Drake Bowen. He is a borderline 5-star player in the 2023 class at the linebacker position per Rivals, and they're going to get some other really good player. You mentioned Zinter. He's visited Notre Dame, I think, 3 or 4 times already. He's
Yeah.
a 4-star player, an athlete recruit per Rivals, can play both sides of the ball. I believe Notre Dame really likes him at the rover position. You mentioned Ronan Hanafin, who you went to see. He told me that Notre Dame offered him as an athlete because he
Really?
plays receiver and then a position on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe you can speak to this. He said it's kind of a linebacker safety hybrid. Is that what you saw?
He would have to be a bigger kid. He is not like a thickly built athlete in that regard. He definitely from just a build standpoint to me looks like a wide receiver prospect.
Okay. Yeah, so Tommy Reese offered him, so I would assume he'll play offense at Notre Dame if he chooses the Irish. But he did say that he plays that kind of role. So I was like, on defense, like, all right, maybe Rover. So probably not, but hey, maybe. Phil Picotti just visited
Mm.
for the Navy game. He's a Pennsylvania recruit. Seems like a Notre Dame Penn State battle. Another kid from PA, Tamir Robinson, has visited Notre Dame before. Top 100 prospect from Pittsburgh. Troy Ford, a bigger Mike kind of linebacker from Savannah, Georgia, has a Notre Dame offer and he's visited. Jaden Osbury, probably a little bit more of a long shot. Borderline 5-star guy from Baton Rouge. His father at LSU. Ray Wilson is a 4-star a player from Florida who the Irish really like. And how about this one? Samuel Mpemba, one that Notre Dame fans know a good bit about. I saw him a couple weeks ago. He's the number 19 player in the country per Rivals but I've heard that Notre Dame likes him at the rover position as well with his length and just kind of how he moves. So Notre Dame should be okay at the linebacker position.
Yeah, I'll mention on Preston Zinter just for a little evaluation. I came away impressed. I think you mentioned probably a linebacker prospect at Notre Dame. For a comp, he is somewhere between a Drew Tranquil and a Dan Fox. He is a little bigger than Drew Tranquil at the same stage. I remember seeing Drew when he was a junior in high school at camps, and he was built like a safety prospect. And that the idea of him being a linebacker, you thought more like, wow, he's going to have to really put on some weight and put on some strength. Preston is further along in terms of being the body type to get to that linebacker spot, but same sort of athlete. He could play out in space. We saw he was often covering the middle guy in a trips formation outside the hash marks. Play some offense as well. Catches the ball really nice and made a play where he caught a slant pattern and ran an extra like 20 or 30 yards. So he looked good overall. It was a crazy day. It rained a ton, so the field was real wet, but it stayed clear for the game itself. So, Mike, you have anything else?
Shoot, I'm not gonna be on the road coming up this weekend. I am at a wedding. I know you'll be on the
I
road.
think so. Yeah.
Uh, think
Yeah,
so.
Monroe Freeland. Yeah, they are Oceanside Collegiate Academy is still alive, and they're playing in Dillon, South Carolina, on Friday night off of I-95, and it's a pretty small town, but I think
Yeah, I
I'll be
was gonna
hanging out
say the
there.
only Dylan I know, Dylan Panthers, Friday Night Lights. I mean, but I'm guessing that's probably not the same.
I don't think so,
A little bit different.
but it will be a place I've never been. I've never been in Dillon, so I'm looking
There you
forward to it. I
go.
always like going to new places. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hit like on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you're checking out our live shows after any Notre Dame game, and then our Sunday night live shows with Mike Singer and Mike Goolsby. Those are very, very popular with our users and a good thing to watch. So seek out our newsletter on blueandgold.com. Sign up for that. Great way to keep up with Notre Dame news. And that's it. We're going to put a wrap on this. Mike, thank you for your time, bud.